Hello, everyone, and good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. This is Ian Desher, Digital Marketing Specialist from Pivot Group, and this is Straight Talk on Social Media. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be talking about Facebook ads today and some of the updates and revisions that they've made in the last year or so. I've talked on this subject before, but there's a lot of new stuff out there, so I want to go over some of that today and see what you can learn from it. But before that, a few news items, most of which also have to do with Facebook. There have been a few changes that they've made that are worth noting. So the very first thing is today is T-Day, and by that I mean Timeline Day. Today is the day that all company pages are going to be transferred over to the new Facebook Timeline look, and so you can see there Pivot's new timeline page, and wondering if maybe all of you are ready. I hope that you are. We've been doing several timeline photos for clients, and many clients who are on the call right now. We've been doing those, and if you haven't gotten yours ready yet and are still needing some help, by all means drop us a line, and we'd be happy to help you out with that. We've been having a lot of fun creating these for different companies. Yeah, look forward to the new timeline. I'd be interested to hear what you all think of the timeline look. I've sort of gone back and forth with some clients about whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing, and it seems to be sort of mixed opinions out there. I see a couple of you now posting into the questions on your sidebar saying that you like it or dislike it. So thanks for those comments. Speaking of things that Facebook has added and changed, they added this feature around your acquaintances list. So these are people that it's a default list that Facebook has created, and the list allows you to basically see less of these people. But now not only do they have this default list, but now they're actually giving you some suggestions about who they think might be some of your acquaintances. So you can see here on the list suggestions on my screen, Ben, Madison, Andrew, Jake, and Ryan. These are some people who Facebook thinks, well, these people aren't people you interact with a lot, so maybe you just want to see less of them anyway. And so I think it's really interesting that they have created this. For all their emphasis on friends, now they're really letting you set some tiers here between the people you're most interested in and the people that you care less about. So if you see any of those 5 people, don't tell them that they're on the suggested list for me. Another interesting Facebook change, I was setting up a new Facebook page the other day for one of our clients, and I saw that Facebook has removed the restriction for having a custom URL. So it used to be in the old days, 2 weeks ago, Facebook had these, when you first set up your page, you would have this long URL with some numbers in it and things like that. And you had to have 25 likers before you could get a custom URL that looks more like this one here at the bottom. They've now dropped that restriction so that as you are setting up a Facebook page, you can go ahead and set your custom URL as you're doing that. My hunch is they've decided, you know what, services like Twitter, Google+, Pinterest, those services all let you get your custom name immediately. So why would Facebook not let companies do that? I wonder. I assume that was part of the thinking, and also maybe just deciding, that I mean, they have very clear restrictions about trying to, take another company's name and the way that you can with URLs and things like that. And so, Facebook has basically said now we're going to be really harsh on companies that try to take other companies' names, and so we're going to go ahead and let companies set up their custom URL as soon as they sign on. So those 2 things are now in place, and that should be working. Anyway, I think it's very convenient. It saves some of the groundwork of having to go out and get those early likers after you first set up your page. So I think this is a good thing. Google is planning its own comment service to sort of rival Facebook's comment section. So Facebook, a few months back, probably 6 or 7 months ago at this point, had set up a service where you can use Facebook to have people basically, make comments on anything on your website or in your blog or something like that, and you can go ahead and embed that right into your site. Well, now it turns out that Google may be planning a similar service that it would be run through Google+. So not only would it be a Google service, but it would actually require users to have a Google+ login in order to do the commenting. I think Google is hoping that with this move they're going to sort of bump up Google+, which continues to have poor numbers in terms of how many people are using it and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with this, but it is interesting that Google's taking that active measure to take on Facebook in this way. I do see a question that just came in about the last news item, so I want to go ahead and address that now, and that's why you see my PowerPoint sort of opening and closing. That's it has to do with the GoToWebinar control features here. But anyway, somebody asked, how do you get a custom URL for an existing page? And that is a great question. If you go to facebook.com/username, so USERNAME, all run together, facebook.com/username. If you have to be an administrator of the page, of course. But if you do that, you'll see your own individual username there if you've set it, and then you'll see a list of your pages, and it will let you select one of your pages and go ahead and set the username. And it will tell you, there are some restrictions. It can't be fewer than 5 characters, and it will let you know if the name that you're trying to use or select has already been used. So that's how you do it. So now moving into the focus, straight talk on revisiting Facebook ads. So again, why am I talking about this topic? As I said, Facebook has made a bunch of changes to how they have structured their ads, the different kinds of ads that they are letting you do, different kinds of targeting that they are letting you do, and things like that. So I wanted to go over that because really the possibilities are much greater than they were even 6 months ago. So first of all, let's talk about getting into Facebook ads, and there are two main different types of ads, which are Facebook ads, sort of the normal version, and then sponsored stories, and I'll talk about each one of those. So first of all, with Facebook ads, the most important thing to think about is your destination. So you can either select one of your pages as a destination, so I have Pivot Group as one of my options, or you can select an external URL. Now, a really interesting thing that I just learned recently is that if you pick one of your pages, one of your Facebook pages as your destination, Facebook is going to give you a better click rate, a better rate on your cost per click than they are if you give them to an external URL. So basically, if you're going to send people to something already within Facebook, so basically just lead people back to Facebook, then Facebook is going to give you an incentive to do that by making those ads actually cheaper to run. So that's an important thing to know. But an external URL, of course, then you can take them to your website, a promotions page on your website, which is what many of our clients do, things like that. So just important to know the difference there. For realtors, it's location, location, location. For Facebook ads, it's destination, destination, destination. So then you can see here when you are going to first select some of the ads, you have, first of all, the difference in types between sponsored stories and Facebook ads. So here you're seeing the Facebook ads version, and then there are 2 types of stories that they let you run. So first of all, this only applies actually. This ad from a page post only applies if your destination is your Facebook page or another Facebook page that you administer. So what this does is it lets you create an ad, and it lets you select from your last dozen or so posts. Now, of course, we would probably not run an ad that said something about this thing we talked about with young kids on Facebook. But we might post something that says, we might post something on our Facebook page that says Pivot is now offering, free hot dogs with every, new competitive research analysis we do. And then if we posted that, we might then use that as an ad that we could push out to people, so that it would actually show them sort of a sample post from that page, and then that links back to the page itself. So that's one kind of ad that they're letting you do now that, again, is, I think, going to be most helpful for sort of pushing out company news or giving people sort of a flavor of what your personality is. And then there's the new ad message, and again, this is still for pointing people back to your page itself, your Facebook page. And the option here says is for a new ad message, and that means that basically you can go ahead and type in your own message. So you can just see it's kind of a silly example that I've done here. And you can also put in your own picture. Whereas with the previous example, I'll just flip back to it really fast, you only get the option to put in your profile picture, whatever that is, and whatever that post was. Here, you're getting the chance to put in your own text, though it's limited in characters, and your own image. You still can't change the title. When you're pointing people back to a Facebook page, the title of your ad is always going to be the title, whatever your Facebook page is called. So our Facebook page is just called Pivot Group. So that's what that's going to be called there in the title. But this is a new ad message, again, for if you're pointing somebody back to the Facebook page. And then there's an external URL ad, and there's really only one option here, and that's where, first of all, of course, you get to point people to whatever URL you want to. And actually, you can use this option. I've never run an ad this way, but you can use an option that says suggest an ad, and what it will do is it will scan the web page that you have told it to go to, and it will pull one of those images out from that page and will use some of the text from that. I mean, I think you would probably only use that if you were really a brand new user of Facebook ads and didn't have any idea what sort of copy you wanted to do. But we always write custom copy for these ads. So here you can see you can put in a custom title now, whatever you want, up to 25 characters, and then your body text. Again, it's limited in terms of the number of characters. I think it's 135 total, but you can put your own stuff there, and then your own picture. So this is what we think of as sort of the traditional ad. This is this is something that that's been with us for a long time. But they are also now giving you this option: show stories about people interacting with this page with my ad. So here you can see an example of that, where one of my friends, for instance, might see something that says Ian Desher likes Pivot Group. So not only would they see a Pivot Group ad, but since I am their friend, they might see this ad that shows them that I liked Pivot Group. So you can select that or deselect it, and it doesn't affect your price. I really don't know what the wisdom is there. I've never, the fact that one of my friends has liked a particular company, I don't know if that's ever really swayed me to click on something. But it's it's an interesting functionality to know about. And certainly, for our clients who, are members of smaller communities where people, a lot of people know each other, this could be a useful feature. So now let's talk about sponsored stories, and there are three different types of sponsored stories. First of all, there's the page-like story, and basically what this says is, we're just going to show you, we're going to show any of the friends of the people who like you. We're going to show them this story that says so-and-so likes Pivot Group, likes your company. So basically the reach for this ad would be, whoever likes Pivot Group, it's going to include all their friends. So unless they've turned off, you can turn off in privacy settings the ability for Facebook to use your name in this way. But it would be, Ian Desher likes Pivot Group, or Jane Doe likes Toyota or whatever it is. And it's always going to then lead people, again, we're still leading them back to the Facebook page in this case. And in fact, in this case, all of the sponsored stories are only going to lead people back to the Facebook pages. They're not going to lead people to an external URL. That's not an option within sponsored stories. So check-in story is a similar option here, and what happens with check-in stories is when somebody checks into a particular company, then there's going to be a story about that. Now, it says it's unable to display a preview of this ad because I've selected Pivot Group here, and people don't often check into Pivot Group because we're not a destination. However, your business very well may be a place where people are checking in, and they're checking in a lot. And actually, a side note here, I just got an email from Facebook this morning, as a company page owner, telling me that they are changing the way that they do the way that they number the amount of people who have checked in on your site. It used to be that anytime anybody checked in, they would count that as one of the check-ins on your site. So if a person checked in, a dozen times in an hour at a place, it would show 12 different check-ins for that company. It sounds like now they're changing that, so it's going to be only once every 12 hours will they accept a check-in from a different individual. So, people can't sort of bump up their check-in numbers to make it look like it's a more, more popular place than it actually is. Anyway, so this would show you an ad that said, Ian Desher just checked into Pivot Group along with the Pivot profile picture and that sort of thing. And then a page post like story. So the example here would be if I clicked like on a Pivot Group story, then what it would do is it would say, it would show one of my friends, Ian Desher, liked this story on Facebook, and it would show at least a preview of whatever post it was from Pivot that I had liked. Now it can't show me that because as an administrator of the Pivot Group page, I've opted to always have whenever I like something on the Pivot Group page, I'm liking it as Pivot, not liking it as Ian Desher. So that's why it's not showing me a preview of that ad, if that makes sense. But that's what the page post like story does. So with all of these sponsored stories, the idea is that if your friends see you engaging in some way with what a company is doing, they're going to be more attracted to that company. I don't know how it works in practice, but I do know that sponsored stories do tend to be, again, because they're pointing people back to Facebook and really in some ways promoting Facebook and not just promoting a company's own text and that sort of thing. Sponsored stories do tend to be a little cheaper than the traditional external URL ads. A new feature in terms of location targeting. So now we're getting into different features of targeting. Facebook has added the ability to target by zip code now. So I know that this will be useful to some of our clients. It used to be that you could do it by city, and you still can, and you can still determine with cities whether you want it to be just people who have listed that city as their hometown or as where they live, or you can also say within 10 miles of that city, 50 miles, and so on. But now they've also added particular zip code targeting. So just know that that's available now, and it will give you a count of sort of how many people that should be. An interesting thing, just sort of anecdotally here, that happened to me when I was as I was running some ads for a client, and they had asked us, we'd like you to either try these couple of towns or try these various zip codes, because they thought the zip codes pretty much covered the towns. And what we did is we tried them both ways to see what the different counts were like. And actually the by city feature gave us a much higher number of people than the by zip code feature does. So I'm not sure if there's a disconnect somewhere where Facebook is not sort of calculating the zip codes right. It certainly did not used to be the case when you were signing up to Facebook. You never used to have to put in your zip code. I haven't created an individual profile recently. I don't think you still have to. So it could be that they're calculating zip codes based on sort of where they know it matches up with the city, and so some zip codes are, are not getting the same correlation. But anyway, city may still get you more results, but if you need that accurate zip code targeting, they do have it. And then precise interests, you can target by precise interests, and this is something that you sort of used to be able to do. So they have some I typed in marketing just as an example. They have some actual topics that people might be interested in or talking about, and so here you can see sort of the audience for those kinds of people. But then there are also precise interests below that, where if somebody has actually, as they've typed in or as they've been, sort of saying what their likes are on Facebook, or what their interests are on Facebook, they're typing in the word marketing. So that's where that comes from. So you can get very specific there in terms of what people are targeting. And then they have this thing called broad category targeting, which is, the link to it is right below the precise interests box here. And broad category targeting lets you do some really, really interesting things, things that almost kind of blow my mind. So there are things like, for instance, family status. If you want to target people who were wed within the last 6 months, or who were engaged within the last 6 months, who are expecting parents, and frankly, I don't even actually know how they, how they calculate, whether or not you're an expecting parent. I don't even know where you put that into your profile. So they have all these different kinds of things, away from your family, away from your hometown, right? So all kinds of different ways you can target people that are just really fascinating to me. They have ethnic categories, though I think the only thing in there is Spanish speaking. Some other options. I looked into some of the things like business and technology and mobile to see if those were things that that people, where it was giving you specific data. Mobile, what that's showing you, and I think that's my next slide here. No, I'm sorry, it's not. Mobile will show you, what kinds of apps they're using. So are they using Facebook on an iPhone? Did they download that app? Are they using the Facebook app on an iPad or on an Android phone or something like that? That's what mobile does. The next slide here is events. I think this is an interesting one. It has birthday in less than a week, so if you want to target people close to their birthdays, that would be something. But also recently moved. I think this is an interesting one, particularly for our telecommunications clients on the call. To be able to target people who say that they are living in your town and they've recently moved could be a really, really powerful targeting tool. So just something to know about. Obviously, with these broad category interests, you're getting very, very specific on what people can do. But it is going to reduce your audience greatly, but it could give you some really interesting results. Connections on Facebook. Now, this is also interesting. This is for any kind of ad. You can basically say, I want to not only send people, if I'm doing an ad for Pivot, let's say, for the Pivot Facebook page, I can say, but I want to exclude people or include people who are also connected to these other pages. Now, these are only going to give you events or Facebook page. It's only going to give you Facebook pages that you are an administrator of, or events that you are tied to. Or events you've been invited to. So, if you can get yourself invited to some big event with a big audience, then that's the sort of thing where you might use an event. A Facebook page, if you're the sort of person, if you work for one company in your community, but you're also the Facebook administrator on like a Chamber of Commerce page or something like that, then that's something where you could also target those users as well. You can also exclude, and this is a smart thing to do probably if you are, if you're putting out something where you want to get people to like Pivot Group, then you could exclude people who are fans of Pivot Group. Make sure that you're not putting something out because you don't want to waste your clicks. I mean, that sounds bad, but you don't want to waste your click money on people who are already your fans. And then targeting for education, but also for specific workplaces. So I just typed in the letter A, and I started getting all these possible workplaces. So you can get all kinds of things here. And these are don't have to be companies that you are, where you're an administrator on the page or something. These are just any company that's out there, basically, that people have said they work at. So that's some of the targeting there. I realize I'm running low on time here, so I'm going to try to sort of zoom through this now. Some things about, and sorry, this should say campaign and budget here at the top. You can choose a single campaign name for several different kinds of ads. They're letting you do this lifetime budget now, so you can say, I want to spend $300 over the whole lifetime budget as opposed to a per-day click price. The campaign schedule, just setting the exact parameters of when you want it to start and end, and then how much you want to pay for click. Again, I always recommend paying for clicks instead of paying for impressions, because you really want to know when people have indicated an interest in that ad by clicking on it. And it's still a great click price, I think. So a few quick takeaways. First of all, know your options. Just make sure you know what's out there in terms of the kinds of ads you can run, the sponsored stories, the ads for an external URL or your specific page, those sorts of things. Think carefully about which types of ad might make sense, and then do some experimentation. Go ahead and try some of those very targeted ads and see if you get any of those. And I think that's actually my next point here. Yeah, go ahead and consider some heavily targeted ads so that you are really saying, I'm going to make an ad that's just for that person who has moved to my area recently, or for that 34-year-old to 50-year-old newlywed who's female, right? I mean, those sorts of things. Consider something like that if you feel like there's a really good reason to target somebody in a particular category like that. Make the most of your connections. Again, if you are an administrator on several Facebook pages within your community, then go ahead and do some targeting specifically to those other pages as well, so that you can make the most of that. Run everything under a single budget. So the beauty of Facebook ads, I think, one of the beauties of them is that you can do all these different kinds of ads that I'm talking about, and you can have them all within the same campaign so that they're all pulling from the exact same budget. And that's really useful because that way you're not having to create separate budgets for different kinds of ads and sort of losing track of where everything is. You can say, for this April promotion, I'm going to create some general ads in my community, but then I'm going to do a few specifically targeted ones, and I'm going to put all under this umbrella of the same budget for the campaign. And then remember that you do save money by pointing people back to Facebook. So there are very compelling reasons for promoting your own web page and having people go to a special promotions page or a special section of your website. But do remember that you can save a little bit of money by pointing people to Facebook. So there are a few questions here, and I want to make sure I get to them really quickly in my last couple of minutes here. Can you run a contest as a Facebook ad? That is a great question. I would have to double check the Facebook contest guidelines on this. What we know and what you've heard me say on previous webinars is the contests and guidelines have to be run through a third-party solution. So Pivot has actually started creating some custom Facebook tabs for clients who are interested in having their own Facebook tab that lets people fill out forms or enter contests, things like that. But you have to use some sort of third-party solution. So I assume, my guess is, and I will try to find out for the next webinar, my guess is that as long as you're running a contest on a third-party page within your Facebook page, a third-party tab within your Facebook page, my guess is it's fine to point people to that Facebook tab from your Facebook ads. And in fact, one of the options that I didn't mention, and I believe it's on the sponsored stories, though it might also be on just normal ads when you're pushing people back to your Facebook page. There's actually an option where you can choose which tab you want people to go to. So even as I hear myself remembering that, I'm almost certain that you could promote a contest, promote a contest through a Facebook ad, I will double check about that and make sure. And I'll send you a direct email about that as well. Are you limited on the image size for Facebook ads? You are limited. Basically, I mean, I've never seen a specific measurement for it. Whatever image you try to do, Facebook is going to truncate it into that little sort of rectangular space that you've seen on the ads that I've shown in this webinar. I usually have our designer design them in a 4:3 ratio, 4 wide, 3 high, and then the designer can basically make that image whatever size in that ratio he wants to. So it could be 400 pixels by 300 pixels, and then Facebook is just going to shrink it down. But 4:3 generally tends to get the most out of that little rectangular space. Yeah, and then there's a question, how does Facebook know what my zip code is? I don't think I ever entered my zip code. So I think what's happening is that Facebook is mapping as well as they possibly can the towns and cities that people say that they are from or live in with the sort of database of United States Postal Service zip codes. That would be my guess there. So anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you for your questions and thank you for your time. The next webinar will be 2 weeks from today, Friday the 13th. It'll be okay, I promise. And I'm going to talk about social media tools for your website. I did talk about social media and your website last June. This time I'm going to talk about some different kinds of tools. Specifically, I'm going to look at some widgets that can help you get sharing buttons on your Facebook page. I'm going to talk about other interesting ways to incorporate social media services into your website. Yeah, so we'll be doing that in 2 weeks. For our telco clients, Dave Neustraten's next Straight Talk on Telco Marketing webinar will be Wednesday, April 25th at 11 o'clock Pacific time. We'll hope you'll join us for that as well. Thank you all so much for your time. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Remember to, as ever, keep your media social and your talk straight.